Oh, good evening. In today's section, we will be looking at some questions and answer section regarding the forthcoming exams. And based on our course content or curriculum, we will be discussing the skin. As such, we need to look at what are the likely questions we should expect. Okay. The primary purpose of us studying about this is for us to x-ray the components, the structures, glands, and the physiology of the integumentary system. The integument, that's the skin. In order to enhance your ability to recognize signs and symptoms of abnormalities of the skin. So that is why we actually study this particular system. So the basic knowledge will help you to understand the importance of prevention and treatment of most common skin diseases. So in this exam, you are likely going to expect something like this. Okay, which of the following is the largest body organ? You know, which of the following is the so the answer is C, which is the skin. The skin is considered the largest body organ. Of course, you can see for yourself, the skin is almost all part of the body, and as such, is the largest. Is the largest organ of the body. All right. So in this section, we are going to use this question and answer to actually cover a lot about the skin. We're going to actually use this question and answer to cover a lot about the human skin. So let's begin in the next. Which of the following is not present in the epidermis? Which of the following is not present in the epidermis? So the options given include sebaceous gland, adipose tissues, both A and B, none of these. So the right answer is C, both A and B. So in the skin, you are going to find both the sebaceous gland, that is the oil gland, and the adipose tissue. Then the question number 3 says, that is called true skin. And the options include A, epidermis, B, hypodermis, C, corneum, D, both A and B. The correct answer is C, corneum. Corneum is the true skin. So the next says, dermis is a sheet of connective tissue that supports the dash. A, hypodermis, B, epidermis, C, both A and B, D, none of the above. The correct answer is B. B is the correct answer, which is epidermis. Because if you look at the anatomy of the skin, you find out that the epidermis is on top of the dermis. So it's from the dermis that epidermal cells regenerate when they are being removed from the top skin by laceration or due to death. The next question says, dash is thicker than epidermis. So the correct answer is A, dermis. Yeah, the dermis has a lot of structures in it, and it is from the dermis that epidermis regenerates. Now the next question says, the mechanical strength of skin is in the dash. A, hypodermis. B, epidermis. C, dermis. D, all of these. The correct answer is C, dermis. That is where the mechanical strength of the skin is. Then the number 7 question says, the basic structure of dash is a dense network of crossing protein fibers embedded in a mass from jelly. The correct answer is C, dermis. The next question says, this is the correct answer here. The next question says, the dash layer of the skin contains antacid mantle layer, which limits the amount of substance entering through the skin that affects the body to minor degree. The correct answer is C, epidermis. Number 9 questions says, the skin produces dash in the presence of sunlight. The correct answer is D, vitamin D. So the skin produces the vitamin D in the presence of sunlight. The next question says, the dash gland secretes oil to lubricate and maintain the health of the skin. The correct answer is B, the sebaceous gland. It is the sebaceous gland that secretes the oil that helps to maintain the skin integrity. It has both immunologic function and all of that. The next question is, some dash or more of transfer of heat occurs through the skin. We're trying to look at the percentage of transfer of heat that occur through the skin. The answer is C, 80% or more of heat transfer occurs through the skin. You know, the skin has a lot of responsibility, such as thermoregulation. The skin has a lot of responsibility, such as thermoregulation. So it does this particular function. The next question says, that's the correct answer. The next question says, dash by the skin is controlled by a negative feedback loop. Dash by the skin is controlled by a negative feedback loop. A, heat gain. B, heat loss. C, both A and B. D, all of this. So the correct answer is B. Number 13 says, accessory structures of the skin include the following. A, hair and nails. B, sweat glands. C, sebaceous gland. D, all of the above. The correct answer is D, all of the above. These are all accessories. They are structures or appendages found in the skin. So the correct answer is all of the above. Which part of the skin is mostly seen? A, hair shaft. Sorry, which part of the hair is mostly seen? A, hair shaft. B, hair follicles. C, hair papillae. D, hair bulb. The correct answer is A, hair shaft. That is the hair you are seeing. So this is the correct answer. Which part of the hair is made of connective tissue and contains the blood capillaries and nerve endings from the dermis? The correct answer is C, hair papillae. Number 16 says, Hair serves a variety of functions, including 1. A, protection. B, sensory input. C, thermoregulation and communication. D, all of the above. The correct answer is D, all of the above. The skin performs all the hair found in the skin performs all of the above functions: protection, sensory input, thermoregulation, and communication, all of the above. So all of the above is the correct answer. Which of the following statement is true about hair? A, hairs have papillae, which contains blood vessels. B, as a person ages, the melanin production decreases, and hair tends to lose its color and become gray or white. C, melanin determines hair color. D, all of the above. So the correct answer is D, all of the above. So hair have papillae, which is true. And as person ages, the melanin production decreases, which is true. The melanin determines hair color, which is also true. So the correct answer is all of the above. Which one is correct about nails? The nail body is formed on the nail bed and protects the tips of our fingers and toes. B, the nails are the farthest extremities and the part of the body that experience the maximum mechanical stress. C, the nail body forms a back support for picking up small objects with the fingers. D, all of the above. So the correct answer is D, all of the above. The nail perform all of these functions. 19. The nail bed is rich in blood vessel, making it appear pink, except at the base, where a thick layer of epithelium over the nail matrix forms a crescent-shaped region called what? A, the lunula. B, nail cortical. C, hypotion. D, hypoinnertion. So the correct answer is A, the lunula. The next question says, which one is not correct about sweat glands? A, sweat glands develop from epidermal projections into the dermis. B, sweat glands are classified as merocrine glands. C, sweat glands secretions are excreted by exocytosis through ducts without affecting the cells of the gland. D, there are 6 types of sweat glands, each secreting slightly different products. So the correct answer is D. There are 6 types of sweat glands, each secreting slightly different product. 21. An eccrine sweat gland is type of gland that produces hypotonic sweat for dash. A, thermoregulation. B, osmoregulation. C, protection from harsh environment. D, all of the above. The correct answer is A, thermoregulation. Dash glands are found all over the skin surface, but are especially abundant on the palms of the hand, the soles of the feet, and the forehead. A, eccrine sweat gland. B, halocrine sweat gland. C, apocrine sweat gland. D, none of these. The correct answer is A, eccrine gland. Dash is usually associated with hair follicles in densely hairy areas, such as the armpit and genital region. A, apocrine sweat gland. B, eccrine sweat gland. C, halocrine sweat gland. D, none of these. So the correct answer is A, apocrine sweat gland. So this is the correct answer here. Apocrine sweat gland. Dash is a type of oil gland that is found all over the body and helps to lubricate and waterproof the skin and hair. The correct answer is sebaceous gland. In response to stimulus from the sympathetic nervous system, the rectal papilla dash A are glands on the skin surface. B can lead to excessive sweating. C are responsible for goosebumps. D secretes salium. The correct answer is C, are responsible for goosebumps. Eccrine sweat glands dash A are present on hair. B are present in the skin throughout the body and produce watery sweat. C produce sebum. D act as a moisturizer. The correct answer is B, are present in the skin throughout the body and produces watery sweat gland. Similar to the hair, nails grow continuously throughout our life. Which of the following is furthest from the nail growth center? A, nail bed. B, hyponychium. C, nail roots. D, eponychium. The correct answer is B, hyponychium. The degradation of the ozone layer in the atmosphere and the resulting increase in exposure to UVA, ultraviolet ray radiation, has contributed to its rise in dash A, skin cancer. B, impetigo. C, eczema. D, ringworm. The correct answer is A, skin cancer. Dash is a cancer that affects the keratinocyte of the stratum spinosum and present as lesion, commonly found on the scalp, ears, and hands. It is the second most common skin cancer. A, melanoma. B, squamous cell carcinoma. B, basal cell carcinoma. D, none of this. The correct answer is B, squamous cell carcinoma. Dash is a skin disturbance that typically occurs on areas of the skin that are rich in sebaceous glands, such as face and back. It is most common along with the onset of puberty due to associated hormone changes, but can also occur in infants and continue into adulthood. A, acne. B, eczema. C, impetigo. D, keloids. The correct answer is A, acne. Common skin and soft tissue manifestation of neonatal bacterial infections are dash A, facial cellulitis. B, scalp abscess. C, fasciitis. D, breast abscess. The correct answer is breast abscess. So with this, we've come to the end of the likely questions that have toured us around the skin. Now let's look at briefly the skin. All right, having gone through the few likely MCQ questions, and let's look at briefly the parts of the skin. Most importantly, we're going to look at the parts. Remember, these parts have been affected by different disease conditions. Now, let's look at epidermis. Epidermis is about 0.1 to 0.2 millimeter thick, except on the palms and soles of the hand and the leg, respectively, where it can extend to millimeters. Okay, so it's more than that, 0.1 to 0.2 in the soles and palm. That is why our palm and soles are thick. So inside the epidermis, you are going to find the look at this picture. All these parts. This is someone's face. Is known as epidermis. All of this body part that's been affected by this condition is known as epidermis. So the epidermis has lots of keratinocytes. These are cells made of the keratin, and it makes up about 90% of the epidermal cells. Okay, it has a layer known as the proliferative compartment of the epidermis, and its major function is to continue to proliferate so that there will be replacement. The main proliferative compartment is the basal layer. Call it the basal layer. The keratinocytes synthesize a range of structural proteins known as keratins. So that's the function of the keratinocytes. Keratins, loricins, and filaggrin, which is a filament aggregating protein. This has a role in maintaining the skin barrier function. Things are not able to penetrate to the epidermis, which is the topmost part of the skin, because of the keratinocytes, which produces these keratins, loricins, filaggrins. So they form the skin barrier. Also, the keratinocytes are also responsible for synthesizing of the vitamin D under the influence of the ultraviolet ray. Okay? So there are more than 50 types of keratins, and their expression varies by body size. So you might find different types of keratins in different parts of the body, like in the leaves, and on the skin, on the palms, and so. So these are different types of keratinocytes secreting these substances that is needed. So most times when somebody begins to develop infections of the topmost part of the skin, the epidermis, it may be as a result of mutations of certain keratin genes, which can result in the blistering disorder. Okay? The keratinocytes, which are the predominant cells of the epidermis, migrate from the basal layer. They now change and begin to produce varieties of proteins and lipid products. So when they become old, they are programmed to die. And before they die, they lose their nucleus and they become flattened conicytes of the stratum corneum. You know the epidermis has layer, and the topmost is the stratum corneum. When you have the word stratum, it means layers. Okay, but the layer that produces these keratinocytes are from the basal layer. Okay. The epidermis is a site of lipid production, and the ability of the stratum corneum to act as a hydrophobic barrier is the result of this bricks and mortar design. So what this is trying to explain is that the keratinocyte has a very good responsibility in providing barrier to the skin. Then other cells found in the epidermis. First is the keratinocytes. The second one is the Langerhans cells. The Langerhans cells are more of white blood cells that circulate in the epidermis of your skin and lymph nodes. So what are their primary functions? Their primary function is protection of the skin, okay, from invaders. Another group of cells found in the epidermis is the melanocytes or melanocytes. These are cells that mostly you find at the basal layer of the epidermis, okay? They are the ones that synthesize that skin color pigment known as the melanin. And they do it from synthesizing it from tyrosine, which they now transfer to the keratinocytes. So the actual melanin production is done by the melanocytes, which is now sent to the keratins. Another group of cells you find in the skin, if you look at the diagram of the skin, is the Merkel cells. These cells occur in the basal layer and are thought to play a role in signal transduction so that when someone is being touched. Then the last part of the epidermis is the basement membrane. The basement membrane is an anchor, that is the layer where the epidermis starts. So its function is provision of nutrients between the dermis and epidermis. Another layer of the skin is the dermis. The dermis is a vascular layer of the skin, and it supports the epidermis, both structure and nutrition. So it provides nutrients and also strength to the epidermis. Okay, that's another function of the dermis. It provides both structure and also nutrient. It varies in thickness, ranging from over 1 millimeter on the surface of the forearm, that is this our arm, to about 4 millimeter on the back. If you recall, in one of the questions we were asked the most thickest. So it is the dermis. Recall the epidermis around 0.1 to 0.4, something like that. And we said towards the palmar, it's small. But that of the dermis has about 1 millimeter on the inner surface of the forearm to about 4 millimeter on the back. So in the dermis, you find the fibroblasts. And these fibroblasts are the predominant cells. Whereas in epidermis, we find the keratinocytes. The fibroblasts are the predominant cells, but other cells also are found, such as the mast cells, mononuclear phagocytes, T lymphocytes, dendritic cells, neurons, endothelial cells are all found in the dermis. Now, there's a part of the dermis we call the acellular part of the dermis, and this contains mostly of the collagen 1 and collagen 3, another substance known as elastin and reticulin. All of these are being synthesized by the fibroblast. Now, another part of this human skin. We've talked about the epidermis and the dermis. Let's talk about another structure found in the skin, an appendage, the hair follicle. There are about 3 to 5 million hair follicles throughout the skin. They are called epidermal invagination because if you look at your hand now, you see the hairs. They are invaginated, like they project from the epidermis. Okay? They develop during the second trimester in the womb. That's when the hairs begins to develop. And the hairs occur throughout the body, except in the palms and soles and some part of genitalia. And that part of genitalia where hair do not grow is known as glabrous skin. The highest part of the body that have the highest number of the hair is known as the scalp, as a human, the skin that covers the skull. When newborns are born, the hairs that are found on the newborn is known as lanugo hairs. Then when they begin to grow, this lanugo hair is being replaced by vellus hair. Okay. Then as one progresses to adolescence, some certain type of hairs are found at the axillary and genital region of the body. Another part of the structure found in the skin is the sebaceous gland. The sebaceous gland are known as epidermal down growths, usually found alongside with hair follicles, and they have a lot of keratinocytes. Okay. The cells of the sebaceous gland produce a range of lipid substances known as sebum. Okay. And this sebum is under the control of a hormone known as androgen. So this gives us a reason why male have more hairs, because of the androgen found in men. The testosterone increases the production, whereas estrogen reduces its production. So sebum is important for hair waterproofing and all of that. You understand? So that explains the reason some in male have more hair and more sebaceous gland more than the female because of the hormones. Another substance found in the skin is the sweat gland. Eccrine sweat glands develop in the second trimester and are also epidermal invaginations found all over the body. Their coiled dots open directly onto the skin surface. They play a major role in thermoregulation, that is, in control of temperature. That's you're able to sweat when you feel very heat. When you feel heat or your body temperature is hot, you sweat more to regulate it, to bring it down. And you sweat less when you're feeling very cold. And that is under the sympathetic nervous system. Another group of sweat glands, because first we have talked about the eccrine sweat gland, which is found all over the body and produces sweat. Another group is the apocrine sweat gland, apocrine sweat glands. The apocrine sweat glands are restricted to the axilla, the armpits, and the breast region, then the genital areas. They are connected to hair follicles and are not involved in thermoregulation, whereas the eccrine sweat glands are involved in thermoregulation. Next substances or structures found in the skin is the blood vessels and nerves. Women's skin has plenty of blood supply. There are a lot of them that are arranged both superficially and deep. So that is where we're going to take it out. So it has a lot of blood vessels and nerves, and under the control of the sympathetic nervous system leads to both vasoconstriction, as constriction of the blood vessels, and also vasodilation. Functions of the skin. One of the main functions of the skin is to protect the body against chemicals, particles, and drying. And this is carried out by the topmost part of the epidermis, known as the stratum corneum. Stratum corneum. Another function of the skin is to protect the body from ultraviolet radiation. And this is being carried out by melanin, produced by melanocytes in the epidermis. Then also, the skin protects the body against foreign invaders through the structures or cells found in the epidermis, known as Langerhans cells, lymphocytes. Then, lastly, the skin also protects the body against microorganisms through the Langerhans cells, stratum corneum. You know, this stratum corneum can peel off and the microorganism goes away. Then the Langerhans cells, which we already know as white blood cells, might also, then phagocytes, mast cells also are involved in immunological responses. Another function of the skin is maintenance of fluid balance. So the skin prevents loss of water, electrolytes, and all of that. You know, we said that the skin is involved in thermoregulation. So it prevents loss of water from dehydration. Then the skin serves as shock absorber too, because it being strong and elastic, the dermis and the subcutaneous fat of the skin provide some certain level of what? Shock absorption. Sensation. The skin has a lot of nerve endings that helps in the nervous system. That is why if you touch a hot water, you withdraw your hand. So that's the skin plays another role in that sensation. The metabolism. It's been identified that the skin has a level of detoxification of xenobiotics, and retinoid metabolism. So the skin can carry out a level of metabolism. Then lastly, temperature regulation. The skin also, through its eccrine sweat gland, that is the one that produces sweat, helps in regulation of body temperature. Then the skin also protects the hand from certain, for example, it helps the tip of the nail, the hand, to pick something with the help of an appendage in the nail. Because without a nail, some people might find it very difficult to pick something. Then also the skin has a role in hormonal responses, like we said, such as in the conversion of the tyrosine 4 to triiodotyrosine 3 by the keratinocytes. I need this. It is this T4 and T3 that's responsible for the production of the tyrosine. Then the conversion of 7-dehydrocholesterol to vitamin D. So the skin does these two functions: conversion of tyrosine 4 to tyrosine 3, and then conversion of the hydrocholesterol to vitamin D by the keratinocytes. And this is primarily carried out by the epidermis. So that is where we are going to stop. Now, before we wrap up, let's just look at some certain basic terminologies in study of the skin, skin pathologies. Now, you may be coming in contact with the word patch or macula. Macula. When you hear the word macula or patch, it's actually trying to explain to us a skin problem whereby if you look at the patient's skin, it just changed color. Like here, it just changed color, but there's no growth. It could be reddened, it could be black. That change in color is known as macula. And when you look at it, when you measure it, it's less than 1 cm. So any skin rash or any skin problem that is just changing color, that is less than 1 cm, is known as macula or patch. Another terminology we use is the papule. We use the word papule when we see a change in color here, and if you look at here, there's change in color in this person's skin. It is reddened, and not just change in color, it is raised. So when it is elevation, no longer just color change, we'll call it papule, and it is less than 1 cm. But in that of macula, it's just color change that less than 1 cm. Call it macula. Then this one is papule. It has more than it's not just a color change, rather it has a raise, something we can feel, and it's less than 1 cm. We call it papule. Then when it is greater than 1 cm and is raised, we'll call it nodule. Any structure, any growth on the skin that is greater than 1 cm and it is raised and solid, we'll call it nodules. Then plaque. When the raised lesion is greater than 1 cm diameter and it's flattened like this, we'll call it this what? Plaque rashes or whatever. Then vesicle. When we have a raised skin changes, because the color of that place is already changed, and it is raised, but contains fluid, but the raised or the lesion is less than 1 cm, we'll call it vesicle. But when the raised lesion is greater than 1 cm, we'll call it blister. So those know the difference between nodule and papule. The difference is that in nodule, it is greater than 1 cm, but when it's less than 1 cm, is papule. Then in vesicle, it contains water, but when it's less than 1 cm, it is vesicle, but when it's greater than 1 cm, it's blister. Then pustules. Any raised skin part that has pores in it is called pustule, like pimples. Okay, it's called, once it has a pus in it, it's known as pustule. Then petechia or purpura, when there are a lot of color changes that is greater than 1 cm, we'll call it petechia or purpura. So these are terminologies used in discussing some integumentary related disorders. Thank you and have a wonderful time.